G'day guys, welcome to the first video of 2024. We're starting off strong because this is a really special one. Yesterday, I got to meet Tony Hawk. Alright, so I'm in Melbourne City today. I'm going to meet Tony Hawk at the meet and greet experience. I've got 3 hours until that happens, so we're going to try and kill some time until then. But now that I'm actually in the city, it's starting to feel very real. It's starting to feel like, yeah, I've been kind of like excited and stuff, but now that I'm actually here on the ground, I'm like, oh man, I've got so much energy that I need to just burn, so we might go to the arcade. Of all like the celebrities I could ever want to meet, Tony Hawk has been my number one for as long as I can remember. Like since I was maybe 9, I've just been enamored with the game franchise and the sport as a whole. And so Tony Hawk has really been like my celebrity idol, I guess, for my entire life. As soon as I saw that Tony was doing a tour down under, I just knew that I had to go to it, no matter the cost, no matter what. So it was a really big deal for me to go and get to meet him. It was also really cool because the band that played, the Pro Skater cover band, I've been in contact with them for, a few years now, and they've actually let me use some of their covers in my Hawktober episodes in the past. So this was going to be my first chance to meet them in person as well and get to see them play live. I will admit I was a little bit disappointed because Melbourne sort of got the scraps of the tour. Sydney got the show and then a skate park demo. Brisbane gets the show and a skate park demo. But Melbourne just got the show, which is a shame. I would have totally, gone out and abandoned all my other responsibilities to go and watch a skate demo. So hopefully next time they do this, they can, do some skating in every single city. But that's not to say that I didn't see any skateboarding. But one thing that was really surreal was walking down the street and just locking eyes with a pro skater that I admire. Jaws. Dude is insane. Clears, 25, 30 step staircases. Jumps off of everything. Dude's ankles are probably just like glass or stone, depending how you look at it. Man, I just had the most surreal experience. Like, there's so many skaters out, and I'm like sussing all the crews that are up and about, looking at them all. And then I spot Jaws, and I guess his buddies fucking doing shit. Pretty surreal, like just walking down the street and seeing like such a notable, like famous figure like that. Yeah, I saw him and he was with a bit of a crew, and they were talking to some local skaters, and I didn't want to interrupt them. I sort of was just content with like, hey, that there's a pro skater that I recognize. How cool is that? I was very content with it. And yeah, we went separate ways, but then we ended up meeting face to face again, like a block and a half away. And this time Jaws was by himself, so I wasn't as much of a pussy as the first time, and I actually was like, oh, hey, like, can I get a photo? And he was super cool, super happy to get, like, recognized and get a photo, and that really awesome. So yeah, that was a cool moment, and I'm glad that happened, because I was under the impression that all of the skateboarders on Tony's team that were on this tour were going to be at the live event meet and greet, which didn't end up being the case. So I'm glad that I didn't wait to get that opportunity later on, because it never came. I instead, said g'day and got my photo, and I was able to talk to people at the show about it, which was really cool. So I just bumped into Jaws a second time, and he was by himself, so I wasn't as much of a pussy and asked for a photo. So for the meet and greet and VIP ticket holders, we were asked to show up at the venue an hour before the doors opened, so that we could have that experience. I went and got some dinner, which was awesome, and I knew that the venue had like a concession stand and a bar, and so I went in there, and lo and behold, the moment I walked through the door, the guy behind the bar says, "Whoa, it's Square Eye Jack," and it's just like, yeah, hey mate, how you going? Like, caught me completely off guard. You know, it's really rad whenever people, you know, say hello out in public. It happens a lot more now that I live in Melbourne, and I'm never ready for it. Yeah, so shout out to that guy. He gave me a free bag of chips, which I really needed halfway through the show. So thank you very much, dude. Appreciate you. Out into the main sort of queue area where everyone was lining up, waiting for the meet and greet, and was instantly spotted by another person who recognized me from the channel. Sorry for everyone that I met, by the way. I'm terrible with names on a good day, and I met so many people that I can't remember everyone's names. So if you met me, thanks for saying hello. Sorry, I don't remember who you are, but if we got a photo, then please send it my way, because that'd be awesome. But yeah, met the fellow who's got like all the world records in the 1+2 Pro Skater remake speedrun category, so that was really cool. Met another guy there. He was awesome. Recognized me from the channel. He actually got Tony Hawk's name signed on his arm, which he was going to then get tattooed. So yeah, he had the appointment all booked and everything. He was really pumped about that. It was his second time meeting Tony Hawk, which is pretty sick. So yeah, if you've got that tattoo, send a picture my way. I want to see the tattoo, because there was like a buzz around like the seats where I was at about this kid having the tattoo. It was really good. So eventually it comes time for us to go through, and you know, obviously there's a lot of people there. There's only so much time. They made a real point of like, you know, you go in, we'll introduce you, there's someone there to take the pictures for you, and then you leave and come back out and wait for the show to start. And so I had originally planned to be one of the last people to go in, thinking that, you know, at the start of the queue, you know, Tony and the other workers are looking at the line thinking, shit, there's, you know, we've got to get through all these, so let's hurry it up. Whereas at the end, you know, if you can sort of be at the end, you might get a little bit more time. But because I was there so early, I sort of got swept into the beginnings of the queue. And so we're lining up and walking through the doors and seeing the theater for the first time. This beautiful old classical theater was really cool. And seeing Tony Hawk up on stage in the flesh, that was the first time that it felt real. And that my heart actually started to, like, you know, my adrenaline started flowing again. So I was like, oh my God, this is actually going to happen. I was like, please don't have a panic attack in front of Tony Hawk. And then I'm standing there trying to reassure myself and thinking like, well, if I do have a panic attack in front of him, then I might get special treatment. So it gets up to my turn. And I asked the lady taking the photos, could you please get a video of Tony signing my thing and me getting a handshake, because I obviously wanted to include it in this video. She was very much like, nope, photos only. So I was like, oh, okay, which was a bit shit. You know, it shouldn't be that difficult. But it was still really cool though. Shook my hand, and you can see from the photos that my face just lit up seeing the man in the flesh, and I was instantly calmed by his presence. You know, I went from this hyper excitement to like, oh my God, I'm about to meet my childhood hero, to just like, man, there he is, and he's just a guy, and he's the fucking GOAT. Look at him, he's right there. It was like this, it was chill. So even though we were asked, please don't bring things to sign, because Tony will sign your skateboard that you get at the event, a lot of people still brought some stuff, and thankfully Tony's just a rad guy and signed everything that was put in front of him, no matter what it was. Obvious one was a game. You know, a lot of people have like the early Pro Skaters on PS1, but this was my first game. It's still my favorite one, so this is the one that means the most to me. I was going to get him to sign his name in gold on this, but I sort of thought that, you know, he signed so many games, I want something different. Then I remembered that I had this old Tony Hawk poster from when I was a kid that I got out of the magazines that is just hideous. I mean, look how old this thing is, first of all. It has been very well loved. You know, most young boys, I'm sure, have photos of, like, you know, centerfold girls and shit next to their bed, but I had that. This, if you're unfamiliar, is Deck Dogs. It's an Australian-produced skateboarding movie from 2005, starring Tony Hawk, which happened on a complete whim because the producer or the director, who was also a skater, just went to a skate park early in the morning, and Tony Hawk happened to be there on holiday in Australia on tour, and said like, "Hey, do you want to be in my movie?" And he said, "Of course." And so, as a young Aussie growing up, the skate culture is very Americanized. It's very, like California, all that sort of stuff. So to have a piece of that was a lot more closer to home. This was like my favorite movie growing up, and it still is one of my favorites. I could watch it any day of the week. And what I like most about this skate film, when compared to other skate films of the time, where the whole goal is riches and the big millionaire skateboarder and all this sort of stuff, this story is much more relatable and down to earth. And in some aspects, it doesn't always end up being a happy ending for all of the characters, but they still get to have that experience and learn the lessons and stuff like that. So it's a really good movie. Highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. And yeah, I decided to take this in for Tony to sign because I figured it's something that he wouldn't see very often. I handed it to him, and I could tell he was taken aback. He was like, "Oh, okay." Like, he actually said that. He's like, "Oh, okay." Like, he was kind of shocked to see it. And I was just like, "Yeah, man, that's my favorite movie. Like, I thought I'd bring you something different." And he said, "Yeah, man, thanks." Like, he's like, "We actually stayed in the same hotel on this trip as when we filmed this movie." So that was cool. He said that, he loved working on the movie, and he loves visiting Australia because it's just such a nice place. And I think that's about all that was said, because we really didn't get much time, and I didn't want to be the guy that's like, "Oh, have you heard of my YouTube channel? I've played all your games. I've reviewed every level. What's your favorite?" I didn't want to be that guy. At least not this time. If he comes back next year, then I might be like that. I might try and see if I can hook up like an interview or something, because I've got a lot I'd want to talk to him about. Here is the skateboard that we got. The skateboard, An Evening with Tony Hawk, as well as the band's logo down here and the tour dates. And so Tony has signed that up here as well, which is really awesome. I've got a few skateboards now. I don't know where I'm going to put this one. I'll have to find somewhere to display it. It's not the craziest deck. It's a bit more, I guess, simple and more of a promotional thing, which is fine. But yeah, I'm still very happy with it. I'm glad he signed it. It was still very cool. Awkward to sort of carry around for the rest of the event because it didn't fit in any bag that I had. So yeah, he signed both of these for me, and then we took the photos, which was really awesome. I've seen some other people's photos, and he didn't smile as much in some other people's as he did mine, so that made me happy. I'm like, oh yeah, he's very much like, very good, happy grin on his face. And yeah, I mean, try and take the grin off my face, man. I'm still just like, it's like hitting me again what that feeling was like, knowing that the man's just right there. What the man has done, not just for the skating industry or the video game industry, or all his charity work, his influence on generations. It's a really special thing for me, because my channel, in 2017, 2018 was rather stagnant. It wasn't growing, wasn't having a lot of like big success. And it was Hawktober and covering those Tony Hawk games which really elevated me to a new level, where suddenly my peers started to recognize me and reach out, and I was able to take that next step up with the channel, and I've been so successful since then because of it. So yeah, I owe a lot to Tony Hawk and that game franchise. It's been such a big part of my life, and will continue to be a big part of my life. And yeah, very, very cool. Very cool. Extra cool was being at a Tony Hawk event, one of the biggest celebrities in the world, and people being like, "Oh, it's Square Eye Jack," and coming up for a photo, and other people looking around like, "Who the hell's that?" That was really good for the ego. Sat in what I thought was my seat, sat down next to some guy, started talking to him. He was really interested in my channel, and it turns out that he actually works with Tony Hawk in some aspect, either with a charity or some sort of Australian company, whatever, I'm not sure. Then someone come up and said that they were in my seat, so I was like, oh shit, I'm in the wrong row. I was initially seated in row C, but the venue had row double C, which is where I was supposed to sit. So I had to awkwardly get up with my skateboard, with my bag and all my shit, and there was no room to get out, so I'm like, sorry. I walk out, I jumped up like 4 rows towards the front, and I saw the row double C, and so I went into that aisle. And some of the lads there were having a laugh, like, oh, I got the wrong seat, but like I'm here now, sort of thing. They're like, oh, well, we're waiting for you. And then I'm looking at the seats, and I'm like, hang on, you're in my seat. They're like, no, mate, this is my seat. This is double D. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, I'm in the wrong seat again. So they're all cracking up, taking the piss out of me. They're like, oh, the double D's are better, mate. Like, oh. Now, it was at this point, now that I jumped seats, I had some new people sitting with me. I had a guy to the right of me. He was an older skater and also a gamer. He was lovely. Talked to him quite a lot, during the intermissions and stuff like that. He was really stoked to be there. The guy to my left, I believe his name was Aaron the plumber. Another older skater from back in the day. Him and his friend were there. They used to skate when they were kids. Aaron had a few beers and was a little bit chatty and sort of like like that, and he didn't know a single fucking thing about the video games or technology or anything. And so when someone came up to me and was like, oh, it's Square Eye Jack, nice to meet you, and shook my hand, he was like, who the fuck are you? And pestering me about the the channel, wanted to know all about it, because his kids watch videos and he doesn't get it, and he was asking me how it all works. Drunk convo with this fella, and like you were a lot of fun, mate, if you're watching, but man, you chewed my ear off after a while repeating the same shit over and over. They had a Q&A session where you scan a QR code on your phone and submit a question. Of course, he couldn't see his damn phone, so he handed it to me to type his question into his phone and his email and send it off to Tony Hawk. And he was asking me about the channel, so he's like, if I give you my phone number, can you send me a link to your channel? So I'm like, yep, sure. Like, that's just something for me to do while waiting in between, things happening. So yeah, that was funny. Gave me the shits, but it was funny. Good memory. And when the show was over and some people come up again to say hello, he was, but he's like, oh, is this guy actually good? Is this Square Eye Jack good? And they're like, oh, Square Eye Jack's the best, mate. And I'm like, he doesn't know anything. Get him out of here. He's an old man. He doesn't know what's going on. So yeah, shout out to Aaron the plumber. He's the only person whose name I remember because I had to type it into my phone and his phone.
Why do you ride a skateboard, Johnny? Why do you ride a skateboard, Johnny? Why do you ride a skateboard, Johnny, early in the morning?
Tony Hawk is so engaging. I don't know if it's just me being a fanboy, but the moment he was on stage, I was just like, yep, full attention. I don't think I blinked for an hour. I was just sat there fully looking, you know, hanging on his every word. You know, the man knows how to pop a room. He's clearly very good at public speaking because he didn't falter once. The childhood excitement in your brain kicks in. You're like, oh, this is going to be the best thing ever. You're going to be pumped. And at first I was sort of like, oh, you know, this is fine. This is cool. But by the end of the talk, I was a lot more satisfied and content with like, oh man, I just saw Tony Hawk. How cool was that? It didn't matter what it was. He could have stood up on stage and picked his nose for an hour, and I would have been like, hell yeah, I saw Tony Hawk pick his nose. So they had a quick break, come back out for the Q&A. They had like 500 questions, and they only answered 6, which were more like 3 questions stretched out to 6, which is a shame. They clearly ran out of time somewhere along the line. But then Tony Hawk got the band back out, and he sang with them, which was definitely a highlight. And because there was a break in between, I sort of turned around, and some people had left. Some people who'd paid good money, including VIPs, to go and see Tony Hawk, missed out on seeing Tony Hawk sing. You know, he sung Pretending I'm a Superman. That's like the signature ender of the show, and it was fucking awesome, and some people had just left and missed it. I am looking older all the time, growing older all the time, feeling younger in my life. I do not get that, but it was a damn good show. Afterwards, I quickly got in contact with Simeon, the one who runs the band page on Instagram, and I got to go up and meet him finally after chatting for a few years now. He was really good, but I did want to get a photo with the entire band, but as soon as that show was over, lead singer split, he just took off. Tony Hawk was literally walked off stage, got in a car and went to his hotel, and they had to pack up, and I had 1% charge left on my phone, and I had to get home, so I'm like, okay, like that was good, I'm happy. And there was still some merch left, so I actually purchased this t-shirt. It's got the hawk skull with the classic Australian hat with the, you know, the corks dangling down. As you can see, it's got the logo. It's got a Bunnings snag in bread, which is really good. So yeah, I'm exhausted today. It's hot and sweaty, and I'm tired. My voice is a little bit, you know, strained from screaming out, you know, song lyrics when no one else around me was. Everyone was pretty just like, yep. A lot of the old fellas like, yep, this is cool. But I was like belting out the bloody soundtrack. It was so good. Again, I want to thank Tony Hawk for being such an awesome human being and super casual, nice guy. Really, you know, just so friendly and warm and comforting to be around. I don't think I've ever met someone that just calms your anxiety like that when you meet them, and all the stress and excitement just dissipates like that. So that was a really cool experience. Again, thanks to the band for you know, just being awesome and getting to catch up with me. Thanks to everyone who I met at the show. Again, if you've got any pictures or anything, please send them over to me. Really appreciate every single person that come up and said hello. Anyway, sorry to just gush all of my you know, excitedness out like this. I'm just super pumped about it. It's a really kicked off the year in a positive way for me, and I've been going through a bit of a sort of a weird mental state and emotional state lately that I'm starting to come out of. I'm starting to work on videos again, starting to get my passion back for it, and this has really been something to help ignite that fire in me. So stay tuned. There's going to be some really cool videos coming up on the channel very soon. If you don't already follow me, then make sure you subscribe. Follow me over on Twitter and on Instagram. You know, you'll get a lot more sort of behind the scenes, personal life stuff over on those sites. We've also got a Discord server, so you can chat with me in there. Patreon link in the description. Band link in the description. All that stuff. And until next time, I hope you have a great fucking day. Thanks for watching.